I'm Brittany Rivers and welcome to my channel. So today I'm taking you all through the customization of this 40-inch 250% density wig from Addictive Hair on AliExpress. So I did buy this wig 100% myself with my own money. This video is not sponsored and this wig was not sent to me, guys. So we are going to go ahead and dive into this customization. I'm also going to be adding an extra 40-inch bundle in this wig. Before we get into this video, I'm going to ask that you all remember to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Madam Brittany, and let's get into this video. Okay guys, so here we have my 40-inch 250% density 13x6 wig from Addictive Hair on AliExpress. I did buy this wig myself with my own monies. So I did already dye the hair jet black. I used like the old-fashioned way. I did not watercolor it this time. But we are moving on to the customizing the hairline step. So the first thing I like to do is grab a spray bottle and wet the front of the wig, so it will be a lot easier to pull the hair out. So I am a little heavy-handed, so I definitely need a nice damp frontal to work with because sometimes I do pluck holes into the wig, so this is super important. So I like starting on either end, so either the right or the left. We're going to start on the right this time, I believe. And I take my comb, pull it all back. So I have one hand kind of pulling the hair back, and then I'll have one that is doing the plucking. So the first thing I do is randomly pluck hairs. Just create a little dimension in the hairline. And once that is done, I like to part just like the first layer of hair or the first row of hair. So not much. And then I'm going to pluck behind the hairline. I know that this is super sped up, but don't be afraid to take your time. So the pattern I kind of do is I'll leave a longer strand, then pluck a lot in the middle. So I'm like skipping, plucking, skipping, plucking. And you can keep parting the hair back to see how it's looking forward. So if I see like a big, bulky or too much hair in a certain section, I will just pluck that area. And you kind of want it to blend together. I think nowadays it's maybe best to not pluck too much. You don't want it to be a straight line, but you do not have to pluck as much as people used to a few years ago. At this point, I'm starting to move on to the middle, and in the middle, I barely pluck. Like, I don't want it to be straight, but I'm just trying to create like a little dimension. So you do not pluck that much. Keep in mind how your actual hairline looks. So my hairline, I know in the temples, like it's very bare almost. Like my hairline is not thick at all in the temple region. So I always pluck more there. I would say it is like a little thicker in the middle. Like you don't want it to be too thin in the middle. And on the sides of my hair, it's not that thick. So the middle is the thickest. So I make sure to kind of follow that pattern as I'm plucking these wigs. I don't know why, but whenever I switch over to do the other side, it is just way easier for me to hold the mannequin like this is a person. I don't know why, but I like holding it kind of like close to me and flipping the whole mannequin head around. But from here on out, I'm just kind of doing the same thing. I'm just going to do pluck a little hair, leave a little hair, pluck a little hair, leave a little hair. Like you're plucking like maybe the width of a fingernail and then leaving another space, plucking the width of a fingernail, leaving a little space. It is perfectly okay if it is not perfect. Nobody's hairline is perfect. Like, if we talking about mine, like, yeah, I got a little part that goes back further than the other. Like, you do not have to be too concerned with that, especially if you decide you want some kind of baby hair. If you don't want baby hair, then I would say, like, you got to make it a little bit better. You might have to be a little more precise, but baby hair definitely saves you a little bit, I would say. And guys, just like that, we are done with the plucking. Like, I like a little bit of a bare hairline, but you don't be afraid to pull out a lot of hair. You all will see I pulled out a lot of hair and the hair looks fine. It's still thick, still beautiful. And here's a little more of a close up of what I did, but now we are moving on to adding an extra bundle in this wig. So the hairline looks beautiful right now. I love it, love it, love it. It turned out so nice. But I purchased maybe a 40-inch bundle from Amazon maybe 6 months ago, and I haven't used it on any of my other wigs. So I was like, let me go ahead and use that 40-inch bundle. So the hair looks pretty thick, like it's pretty good, but it can always be thicker. And I would say the bundle, a 40-inch bundle, is always a little longer than a 40-inch wig. Bundles are more true to length than wigs, in my opinion. And if you do have a thicker and well made wig, the hardest part is sectioning the wig to where you're going to sew and actually seeing the cap area. So, this was definitely the hardest part. You want to make sure the hair you're not sewing on is properly against or pinned up in some kind of way. And you want to make sure you don't sew into any of the hair that you have down that you're sewing on top of. And guys, you are sewing on the cap or to the cap. You are not sewing on top of that track that is already there because you don't want it to be too bulky. And I did double my tracks. This can be very tedious and it will be way more easy if I had an actual sewing machine. I definitely recommend doing this with a sewing machine. But you want to make sure you take your needle through the track your first go around and then you sew to the wig cap. I would actually recommend taking the needle through the track each time because this is not easy at all, you guys. I've been buying wigs and pre-made wigs for so long. I am not even used to having to sew. Like, y'all who are going back to sew ins, good luck. Good luck, you guys. But The sewing life, I don't think is for me anymore. But I'm just repeating the process of sewing the track, and then I do cut the track each row. So you have to cut your tracks if you're doing this. And make sure you go through both tracks when you're sewing. You want to make sure you're constantly tugging on the tracks. I think maybe the most important part is to make sure you are sewing both tracks to the wig. You do not want any wonky track that is, or any kind of loose track in your wig. Tomorrow I will be posting how I installed this wig, so I'll see you all tomorrow. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and see you soon, you guys.